go. Got a hawk flying up there. Hello. Hello, hello. Good. Sorry.
Hey, it's good to get out of the office sometimes. Hey, Steve. Hey, man.
Hello. How's it going?
Good, man.
Excellent.
We got Mindy coming
Okay.
and Autumn coming.
Good.
Yeah.
Save some trees.
This was her. She sent me this morning.
Autumn did?
Or Leanne.
Okay.
I'm terrible at reading these. And you guys know this a lot more. It's that tree, and I believe the red dot is where, if that's correct, that she's concerned about.
That could be, that looks about right.
Okay.
Yeah. And those would be trees that would be in the pond area. As opposed to
You're
the-
talking about this red dot is that
Is
tree
that
doesn't
tree.
show up?
Well,
That's Kurt.
unless it's,
Hey, how are you doing?
Very good. Hi.
Hey, how are you, Mindy?
Have you met Ann before?
Jeremy met last night.
Yeah, have you met Mindy and...
Hi, Max Epstein. Nice to meet you.
Too.
Hi.
Anne.
Nice to meet you too.
All right.
hard to say for sure, but it makes me wonder whether it might be one of these kind of bigger circles, whether that is exactly it or not. And we got to kind of come out there and hopefully they'll to see
Okay.
whether this tree that you're looking at is one of these that's already shown up.
Have you looked at it?
And
Have you seen it? Have you been
What-
able to piece it together?
So this happens a lot with tree surveys. They'll just get it a little bit off.
Yeah.
So I assumed that this one here was this tree. They just didn't have it in exactly the right location. And then there's these other three over more in that corner.
we're actually calling this tree Mr. Benton's oak. He was an 88-year-old man who lived in this house right here, and he died a month after he was forced out of his home in January. Direct quote from his son, "Everything that he worked for his entire life was taken away from him."
Can you say that again?
Okay, so this tree 719
Okay.
is the one that I had thought this one was. It's just a little bit mislocated on the survey.
Can you read the size on there? Does it?
It's a 60-inch oak.
719.
And this looks 60, yeah.
We've had a certified arborist and a forester measure it at 77 inches.
I have not measured them myself.
Okay.
I just want to know if we can validate if that tree is on here and the size. I mean, that's the biggest concern.
You want to go to this corner and find this cluster?
Steve, have you submitted the permits yet for this area?
This is actually blueprint.
Okay, so
Yeah.
permits have not been submitted at this point.
So when the permits get submitted is when growth management would come out and review specifically the tree survey.
I'm also wondering if this tree on our left is on the survey as well.
I believe that one is this one here. 695.
Okay, so this is Miles Street right here.
There's still
Yes,
that
okay.
one.
Yep.
So those other two are on this
And what
other
size are they-
page for FAMU.
What size are they showing this one to be?
695 is shown. That one might be on the FAMU page.
I'm sorry.
We got two different projects, so two different pages.
okay.
61. 61 inches.
Okay.
These guys may need to-
Just
Yeah.
waiting for your information. These two trees back here, because I've had heard there might be some question about whether these sizes were accurate. I sent the survey crew out this morning to directly measure both of those. On the plans they show as 58 and 60. As he marked them today, it was 59 and 61, so they're right there.
Okay, so the plants,
Yeah, our arborist has them several inches larger than that.
These
Just saying. Yeah.
The shingles oaks.
Yeah, those are the shingles oaks right there. That's where everyone from this neighborhood, from around here, hangs out every single night. 10, 20, 30 people.
Yeah, if they got several inches more than that, we'd be more than happy to meet them out here.
Okay.
for the measurement.
Thanks.
Did you have this survey for the other area, the I've got this
Yeah,
is
that's what I
got blueprint, and then
Steve submitted your permits
this
for
was
the roadway,
family.
right?
But so
We
there's
have
those
permits.
two
So
trees.
they'll review and for the
I
most
actually
part, they will
colored over
spot
it because
check trees,
it's
but
easier to
the
read
big
on the
trees like this,
computer,
they will go in and they'll do the verification.
but it makes it
for
really hard to
permitting.
read when you print it out
So,
because of the coloring.
if it's a 2 inches difference or whatever,
would
they'll
be
modify, or, they'll
down
just look.
that way, and I'm
I mean,
not
this tree,
sure
I
what
just
species
from
we're
an
looking
eye look,
for,
it looks
'cause the
significantly
numbers
bigger
are
than these ones
just.
that we're seeing. Or
It is. It is. We actually had our forester verify that this tree is in the 90th percentile for all of Leon County and is one of the healthiest specimens in the 90th percentile too. So you're talking about a resilience plan and trees that are not going to get knocked over by a hurricane. One that's already 400 or 500 years old that survived all that, that's healthy. That's one tree right there, as well as all of these oaks. And this is a mature forest canopy. That's an old growth tree. We found 28 different species of birds walking along here because through the Audubon Society in 51 minutes, I believe. So this is an important habitat. It's not just this tree or the cultural significance of that area up here.
Yeah. Well, first thing, we need to verify that that is the tree we're looking on the plans.
Okay.
And I will get the survey crew out here to measure it early this afternoon and to identify it on the plan to make sure that there's no question about it.
Okay, great.
So, Steve, this survey was completed by Kimberly Horn, and you're going to use your internal team to measure.
Actually, we performed the survey.
Okay.
They did the plans, but we did the survey. So we have that information, but we'll come and double check it.
Perfect. Great.
You need Mindy out here when your crews are out here just to verify.
Probably, if we're only looking at diameter, no.
Okay.
We've got that. It's not a problem. If you'd like to be here, you
I'm
can.
happy to be
Well,
here if I
actually-
need to be.
It probably wouldn't be a bad idea because of your suggestion that this is what you assume were those two trees, and let's make sure we don't have any
Okay.
questions about that.
Okay.
And for your guys, were they measuring breast heights?
Yeah, they're certified arborists.
I guess that's the first step.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
So make sure the plans are accurate, and then you work around that.
Okay. Good. Can you show me also the road curvature that we were talking about? Know what it means.
Many people can.
That's Jeremy.
I hadn't seen y'all in a while, and you just got back from Idaho, right?
I did.
Yeah. So my relatives from Idaho are in town, and well, they're about an hour away, but I've been visiting with them during the
I don't have a. Here, you do this.
What was the weather up there like?
It was beautiful, like 70s, low 80s.
Yeah, they
We
were.
got some small storms every afternoon.
Swinging around, basically, right through there, and then tied into the camera.
So how far are you from Moscow?
We were through
How are you doing?
I was doing
Oh,
it, but
sorry.
I don't know how well I was doing
That's
it.
fine. Just point. That's your job.
That's my job.
That's your job. Hold
Okay.
on. Hold this for a second.
Okay.
If we brought it going this way, you'd be cutting probably combine too. So you'd lose all the. That's Autumn. Hey, Autumn. Good. We're out there meeting with some folks at the trees right now. Yeah. Are you here?
So the
Okay.
deal they made with negotiating the settlement price was giving them access to the property.
It's been
Some of the settlements.
gee,
So if you
at
eliminate
least
that access,
a couple of years. I can find out, but it's probably a number of years ago.
for the business owners.
Yeah.
Not saying we can't go back to them, but
Okay.
I mean it could be an additional cost. They may say no, or we need to have the access. I mean, it's all those types of things you got to work through. But
That's-
just to take it out without having any communication with them, we can't do that.
So we have this road that goes straight through the neighborhood, and I'm wondering why you couldn't put the road behind the neighborhood and
Yeah.
avoid all of this.
And I've got another
Save
question.
all of this, everything that has been saved already, including this area. Why this design here was chosen to go straight through the neighborhood and not be sensitive to people
So
who live here.
one of the very first things we did, because from the blueprint perspective, they're focused on the stormwater quality treatment and the flooding of the area. So we tried to take all the water over here to Lake Alberta to avoid all of that. So there's major issues with being able to tie into that lake with its water from a hydraulic perspective. There's also with this ditch that runs through this area on the north side of the railroad tracks, it's actually in CSX right of way.
Right.
So they would, we couldn't do the construction type that we needed within that right of way with CSX. So we did early reach out to them. So there's been a lot of work trying to focus on getting the water up to Lake Alberta. So once we've determined the most appropriate approach was to try to address the south side, you're very limited in the area that you can do the stormwater facility.
Well, that's actually, we spoke with Mr. Sean McGlynn, I believe is his name. He's the
I know Sean.
yes. He says that this pond does not have to be here. It can be anywhere along the central drainage ditch. You could go over to the stormwater plant and dig out the earth there, since it needs to be remediated anyway. Put the pond there. It could be on the 7.8 acres that's to the south that's for sale. No eminent domain issues. This pond does not have to be here. And we looked at the original plans and options, and we saw that a stormwater was opted for the stormwater pipes to come down the road. There's absolutely no reason why you couldn't pipe along this new road and put your pond down here.
So
It doesn't have to be anywhere.
what Sean doesn't have the expertise in is the stormwater modeling and the flows that come through here. Yes, he's a great environmentalist, but he doesn't understand the stormwater piece component.
I don't
We've
think
had
that's true,
experts from
but-
the city and the county. They are working together to come up with this solution. So we had probably about 2 years worth of meetings between what we call them a technical advisory committee. So it's the Public Works, Teresa Hikers of the county, Jody Cahoon, Jason Eiserman from the city, to say what is, from the hydraulic perspective, what is the best way to deal with the stormwater in this area and maximize the treatment. So this was a solution that was very technically involved, way beyond our level from that perspective. It was a tough issue to try to balance that. So the idea, you can take this away, but you don't get the treatment that Blueprint has promised the community for the stormwater issues.
I've got a question.
Hey, Autumn.
Hey.
And
Hello.
Autumn's got the history
Hi,
of
Leanne.
the stormwater
see you.
component as well.
Max.
Yes, nice.
So now that we found a tree, a really big one right here, is there any way, like how we've done in the rest of at the prominent part of Cascades Park, that this is an extension of, is there any way we could just make a little divot out or something to make it? I don't think the retention pond has to be this like rectangular shape.
So can I see the map so I can show Autumn? So Autumn, what looks like what might have happened, and we're going to go back and resurvey it, is that there's a large oak tree over there that might have been labeled.
The one on the north
Yeah,
side of the street?
one of
Past
these.
these bushes? Yeah. I was
So
looking at
just
the other
looking at
day.
the opportunity to see if it could be incorporated into the final design over time. If it's not truly this area, maybe it's shifted over.
Okay.
So that's what you're asking.
Yeah.
Just I know we can't save everything, but if we could just save.
I mean, we really
something.
can, but
So
You know, if we
could,
can
and
save that
I'll
tree,
just
it'd be
throw out
great.
The practical implications of that. In order to get that pond far enough away from the
Mhm.
tree, right? You want to stay out of the CPZ. That is basically a large island we're talking about, which will result in a significant drop in the ability of that pond to do what it's doing right now. That pond right now is designed just barely to kind of meet where we are for both the flood staging and the controlling off the flow going downstream. It would not be able to do what it does now.
so
Is that
why
okay?
are we designing something that barely does what it's supposed to be doing?
Well, we took full advantage of that footprint of the area we had, and that's what we had to work with. So then if you work with hydraulics to kind of work with the footprint you had.
Okay, it just seems to me you'd want to.
Cover more.
Well, right, exactly, and you have land to the left, you have land to the right.
Deeper doesn't work.
Look, I guess the first step is to verify
Yeah.
that tree's on the surveyor now and find out what the size is. And then we'll
Yes.
go from there.
And can I just I just had a clarification question on what you were just saying about the carving out from the
Yeah.
pond. Was that for that tree or just any of these larger oak trees?
Especially that tree. I mean, the more we could save, the better. But especially that one.
The concern, Autumn, is I guess they measured that at 77 inches. It looks significantly bigger than the other ones, and they're concerned
Yeah.
it was excluded or not measured properly. So that's what we're
Right.
trying to get to the bottom of, which seems to be the largest tree out here.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Because
Cool.
the idea is this is a park, right?
Well,
Okay.
Part of the Cascades Trail System.
Right, which is a linear park, right? Okay, so you would think that we would want to save as many trees as possible for the park, like we have in the other part of Cascades where we do have a bump out, you know, right in front of DOT. There's that double oaks that are like tiny compared to these trees.
Well, I could absolutely tell you. So I've been involved with a lot of the blueprint projects. If it was just about trees, we could save it. But you got all these other components that are mixed in with it, the stormwater, the park area. I mean, all of those things just culminate, and you've got to come up with a solution that maximizes the efforts. So where there's impacts to trees, they clearly demonstrate they're coming back and reforesting the area with a greater variety of species, which is important for the urban forest master plan, and greater coverage over time.
This
you
is
have
a
to recognize it's going to take half a century for this tree to
or
grow.
more. I mean, you can't
got
just
to value
delete
these
a
things.
forest
We
and
do,
then
we do.
replant it.
But you can't just look at this as just a tree issue. This is a
No, it's a
blueprint.
community.
It's it's
a
people's,
social
it's
issue.
trees,
People
it's a lot
gather
of
in these
things.
trees.
But
These trees
a
are
major
for the
component
people.
of this entire segment of the ditchway is stormwater quality that eventually winds up into Wakulla Springs. That has been a major policy directive.
Nobody-
Well,
Nobody
yeah, no one's
disagrees
arguing
with
that,
that.
or the road coming through here, but we have
We
our
can
own
do both.
experts who
We
say
can do both.
doesn't have to be here.
So let me tell you. So from the county side, when we were dealing with the stormwater, they, to be quite honest with you, said, well, we haven't done enough to do the stormwater treatment along this corridor. Even our city staff said we're trying to maximize water
Right.
quality.
You said corridor, and there is plenty of room along this corridor for water treatment.
If you get too far off the line, you cannot hydraulically connect it.
Okay, well,
So we're talking about the water that is running through this system, which comes all the way up from the north side of town.
I realize, and I have a
Two
question.
systems that
Is
converge.
this demolition person? Because we were told that all the demolitions here were stopped. Is that still going on?
Yeah, so Autumn's been working with the Community Cultural and Historical Cultural Committee. You can give an update on that real quick.
Right. Well, today actually at 11:15, which is really convenient that we're here right now.
Mm-hmm.
But we're planning on meeting Mindy and Ann and Steve and some other people to talk about the conditions of these houses. The 5 that are
Was
here.
that publicly noticed?
Oh no, it's a staff meeting.
Oh, it's a
Yeah.
staff meeting.
And what we were going to look at is just basically we're going to look at the structural conditions of the house to see what could be saved, or if the houses were in a condition enough to be able to be moved, or any materials from them that might be able to be saved.
Do we know how old this one is?
I do have it in my notes, but I don't know what else.
Because that one right there was built in 1907. So I'm wondering if they're all the same age.
It's
or not.
one of the oldest ones in the neighborhood. This house, and I believe the one
The one right
next to it.
Well, anyhow, that's what we were out here to do, is to take a
So,
look at the houses.
is there any way to get a public notice of that in the future so other people from this neighborhood could be a part of that conversation? Because that's a major issue that we have found.
Well, actually, what we were going to do is do an assessment just from a staff level of the houses.
Okay.
And then we were going to talk to our History and Culture Trail and meet with them to talk about the houses.
Okay.
But we needed a little bit more just technical information about just the structural integrity of the houses.
Okay, so can we maybe have that meeting here so people from this neighborhood, people who come down here every night, could have a voice in that
They
in
meet
that
right
decision?
there every night.
Right here?
Right. I've met with them just a week ago. No, a week and a day. It was Monday last week.
Okay. So you can tell us that these houses are not going down right now.
Not until they go through this
Yeah,
exercise.
exactly. We asked the demolition contractors.
So that
to
means tomorrow, after you have this meeting today, they could be coming down?
No.
Okay.
No. The process is to do this internal staff review of the structural integrity of the houses, and then meet with the History and Culture Trail committee members,
Okay.
which are representative of the area, and of the Family Way Citizens Committee. There's some folks that were on that committee that are on our History and Culture Trail committee,
Okay.
and then make an assessment of whether or not.
Is
the
there
houses could
anybody
be
who is from
saved.
this neighborhood on that committee?
From the Boynton Stills neighborhood? Not that I'm aware of, no. Bill and Mitchell and Alan. But no.
Who are they?
Bill,
Just
Bill
curious.
Mitchell's Bill and Mitchell's kind of squeezed between Bond and Family Way.
Okay.
And then Alan is on the south side of Family Way and
Wow.
the north of Family,
I really-
like near Lake and
Yeah, well,
I
again,
really
that's...
think you need to put Chief Walker on your citizens advisory, whatever you do with this area.
Yeah.
Not to mention with these people who are here every night.
Right.
Every night, yeah. They should have a voice in this as well.
I did talk to them a week ago. have them talk to
Okay.
them. They said that that it was done and the houses needed to go.
Well, yeah,
I talked to Mr. Benton.
you talked to Mr. Benton?
Benton is passed away.
One of the descendants of the Benton
son?
Okay.
family. Who hangs
He
out?
was not happy. I spoke with him on the phone. He said that he was not happy with this process.
That's actually their property.
Yeah,
that the
that's
oak
his
is
tree.
on.
Right.
We're calling that Mr. Benton's oak. That was his tree in his backyard. His father, who was 88, pushed out in January, died in February. He said all he wanted to do was die in his house, disabled.
So can you make a commitment that you won't tear down these trees until we've done the proper analysis that's needed to see if we can save them? And
So first of all, these
Yeah.
trees are in their permit, and they haven't even filed a permit yet.
Okay.
but I know how quickly permits can
Exactly.
happen because we've seen it happen overnight at Cascades.
Cascades.
Where are you
It's-
from being able to submit for permits?
About 2 months.
Okay.
Okay.
So that gives
Because
you
our
time.
concern is before we even have another blueprint meeting, these trees are going to be torn down. So, I mean,
Yeah.
we have to have enough citizen
That's
input.
when you're able to submit, right? 2 months. So then it takes about a month to get, probably more likely 2 months by the time they have to address comments.
Is there
So
any-
4 months away. Now for Steve's, the roadway piece, the permit's already been applied and
Roadway,
approved.
okay. But for the retention pond, is there any way that we can have, how can we have input on the shape of the retention pond? Is there any way?
Yep. I mean, so we've been showing this design for the better part of 2 years.
But that tree wasn't on the survey, so
There
how
is
we-
tremendous amount of stormwater calculations that you have to go through. I mean, it took really probably about just a year just to develop a model to make sure they connect this system through Cascades to this upper ditch that comes through FSU. It is a highly complex matter that you
So
just
I-
can't say, let's just move the pond over here. It takes months of modeling and planning because you got everything. You speed up the water too fast, then you flood people downstream. So the ultimate goal is to provide solutions that you don't impact anybody downstream.
So is there a way, I think I kind of heard you hint at before that there was a way to at least look at if the
I mean, if we
retention
have
pond
3
would
months
be-
before the
looking at
permits.
the survey, they can look at it, and if there's ways they can tweak their design where there's not a substantial impact to the entire concept, I think that's what we do.
Okay, great, but there's not a way for us to have any kind of input on that.
You're doing this right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, so clearly we're in process. So we listen to the folks as we come through, and if we can modify to address, then we'll bend. But if this tree winds up to be in the middle of their stormwater pond, and the major component of their project is to deal with the stormwater impacts, I would say the chances of doing that is none. I mean, I got to be honest, because this is a major stormwater project that Blueprint has to make work. And when you start eliminating components, a major component of this, and you've reduced significantly the ability to treat stormwater from a large area that's never been treated before, that's a big deal from the quality control component of Blueprint. And we could just make this a roadway project and it would be simple. But this is not, we don't choose to be simple. We try to look at it holistically.
Well, thank you for meeting with us and coming out here. I really
Yeah. Well, I
appreciate
do
it.
have another question. Were any other sites other than this along the rest of the trail? You said you don't want to impact people later on, but what about the people that are here now that have been impacted by this?
And we went through a process to make sure that they were included through the process.
Well, we found that was not true.
Well, you guys
but-
are going through
Yeah,
doing a
well-
report, right, about
Well, yeah, exactly, because Blueprint, they
The
voted
board
to.
did ask us to put together an
That's
agenda
right.
item for September's meeting
Okay.
that has a report on the acquisition process and the relocation.
Well, that's our request, since the Blueprint approved this report on what happened here, right? Don't do anything, road, trees, pond, until we meet again and that findings are found. Because if there was something terribly wrong with this process, then
we need to
that's a
know.
giant can of worms, and we need to know before this. Nothing has been done yet. The road hasn't been moved through. That could easily be redesigned to go around the neighborhood, save the trees, turn this. I'm actually going to call this Henry Shingles Park. Okay, you could save this area, even here, by moving the road. It'd be easy to do, and I know because I studied geographical information and urban planning and environmental science. So, I mean, if I had the source data, I could actually probably design the road myself. So that's our ask, is to not do anything. Don't pull permits, don't take trees, don't do the roads until we get that report at the blueprint meeting in September.
You have 2 separate projects,
Right.
2 different groups happening simultaneously,
Yeah.
so just trying to keep them online. The blueprint project over here, which is the holding pond, they've been, the question they've raised is there's a tree that is apparently 77 inches that they don't think's on the survey. We're trying to verify, see if it's on the survey, see if it was measured accurately, just so people know that. The roadway project will be completely separate from blueprint and would be a city project, and different decision makers, different boards, different groups of people doing all those sorts of things. So yeah, there isn't a master stop to stop kind of everything that's
Right.
happening. But if there's specific items of concern, we should address those individually, one by one.
Well, this is an important cultural site, heritage and cultural site. Right here where we're standing, these trees, and it could be completely avoided by this road project. And it would actually be it'd be a bigger benefit to this neighbor to have a roundabout up there. And I heard you say that if we shifted the road, I believe that it would impact more houses. I don't see that happening.
The curvature of the roadway to miss the 2 trees, it would.
Well, I looked at the data. I plotted it out. You can see it right here, and I'll have a better presentation on Wednesday. But you put the road over there, it connects right to Stuckey. There are no more houses impacted, nothing. And all you have to do is shift the road to the south.
The line that you drew, did it impact the businesses up here?
No,
Just went in front.
absolutely. Yeah, here, I'll show you right now, because if you look, if you look at this road, you got to come over here and actually look at this too. If you look at this road that comes through here, right? I actually took this in Illustrator. If I had the source files again, I could do it correctly. And this is actually an older version. I've widened it to make it there. It's exactly the width. If you walk down this corridor right here, it's exactly the width. Without this warehouse, which would have had to have gone either way, it is wide enough to go straight here. You might have had to take these houses out, but guess what? They're gone already. Come around, put a roundabout right there. It completely misses it. The city of Tallahassee already owns all of the land except for this tiny little sliver. You probably have to pick up another 1/4 of an acre, put a roundabout, go around the neighborhood. That would at least save this entire area. These trees where these people hang out, again, important cultural heritage site for people.
So this is really tight to those buildings there. I would be surprised if it
Access to
didn't
these
impact
would probably be problem. We'd have to look at
No,
those.
it's not. I mean, please look at it.
Oh, we will.
But you can move it, shift the road a little bit. This is a cleared lot. There's nothing on this lot. So put the road a little bit over here. Have it come down. All these houses are already gone. Have it come around. I mean, I've looked at it. I've walked down there. So, I mean, if you come up with something different, I would be surprised. But please, I'd like your opinion, if you wouldn't mind actually reviewing this and having your staff see if this is possible.
And we can give a quick cursory look at that, and we'll talk about what direction we need to be going. It takes more than a quick look to make a major change like that, to see all the other things, the
And that's
snowballing.
right. And that's exactly what we're asking for, is to hold off on this project, hold off until before it's done, the blueprint can say it, explore other alternatives. I don't think it's a whole lot to ask for you to put a pause on the roadway and the pond for 2 months and to explore other options.
So, just to let you know, so when we were planning this project in this area, we didn't just throw the curve on there and call it a day. We explored a number of alternatives when we were trying to figure out the best way to do this.
Okay.
So we had to maximize the stormwater component, to make sure the curvature was adequate for criteria that he has to comply with. The infrastructure that's under the road and above the road, all that had to be worked through. So it was a major coordination effort of both city and county staff at multiple times, going through our technical advisory committee that Blueprint has to try to figure out what was the best approach. And once we came to that idea and that solution, that's when we did the community involvement component. So we went through the exercise in multiple ways. I know at one time we've explored trying to take this all the way down to, what's the road?
Kissimmee?
Yeah.
Yep.
And trying to tie into there. So that was an option we absolutely looked at. years ago.
Well, can we request those drawings and alternative routes that you
Can you
have done?
Can you go back and look at the TCC minutes and see when that was discussed and stuff? Because those should all be on the record there.
All right, well,
All right, well, let's
Thank
let you guys get to
you.
work.
Yeah. Thank you.